determination to return to Japan with a peace constitution which declared the renunciation of war, U.S. military bases stayed in Okinawa. Although the area of Okinawa is only 0.6% of the whole of Japan, 70% of the U.S. military bases in Japan are concentrated in Okinawa even now. Accidents, including aircraft crashes by the U.S. military, occur frequently. A considerable number of sexual crimes have been silenced. Perpetrators are often protected by the U.S.-Japan Status of Forces Agreement. Noise pollution and environmental damage have been unbearable for the residents. And above all, the U.S. military presence makes the island and the people a target of military attack should big global powers clash in East Asia. Kumiko Shimabukuro, a 93-year-old survivor of the Battle of Okinawa, said in a recent interview that Okinawa is still a battlefield and the war is not over. Not only is it not over, but we can hear the footsteps of the next war.
Okay.
Kumiko lives in Henoko, where a new U.S. military base is being built in the pristine sea, endangering a rich marine ecosystem for 5,800 species, among which 262 are endangered. It's the home of dugong, a beloved sea mammal which is also endangered. On April 25, 5 years ago, the Japanese government started the first step of reclamation work, ignoring the opposition of the Okinawan people. Kumiko is a person symbolic of the resilient, non-violent sit-ins at the Camp Schwab gate. As the reclamation and the construction site adjoins this existing marine base, all the land transportation of the construction materials has been operated through this gate. Also, the protest canoe team tries to pretend the big ship from transporting earth and gravel for the reclamation work of building a base on the sea. Because of these actions and the Okinawa government's various efforts to push back Japan's central government's anti-democratic pressure, the construction has been delayed considerably. It's not an easy fight. When terrorized, people naturally feel that weapons will bring them security. But Okinawan people long know that's not the reality. They know weapons and military threats make peace an impossible dream. In Okinawa, at the site of a new base construction, citizens stand to stop it. So many times, they faced seemingly disparate situations. But getting together, people have figured out how to fight back effectively. They do believe they will overcome. They have been building their movement on the principle of peace for the world and future generations. That is why we are here today. No bases, no war. Stand with Okinawa. Thank you.
No bases! And then no what? No bases, no what? War. No war. No war.
Okay, our gathering today is connected with Henoko, 12 days, 36 canoes and 8 protest boats were on the Sea of Ora Bay to protest the declaration on progress. They know that we are here in New York now to raise our voices to stand with them. So now we want to hear the voice from Okinawa, the voice of Fumiko Shimabukuro, a 93-year-old survivor of the Battle of Okinawa, from the recent newspaper interview. Gladys will read them, and so I just make a brief introduction of Fumiko-san. She was born in 1929 in Itoman, in the southern part of the main island of Okinawa. When she was 8 years old, her father died and she became a living babysitter. She fled the battlefield with her blind mother and 10-year-old brother during the Battle of Okinawa. After the war, she worked for a time as a maid at the U.S. Cadena Air Base, because there were no other jobs in Okinawa at that time, so most everybody has to find the jobs at the base. And Camp Schwab in Henoko. She lives in Henoko. She has been involved in the movement against the construction of the new U.S. military base at Henoko for more than 20 years and still protests in front of the Camp Schwab gate. So that's how that's who she is. Please look at the two posters that the two young ladies are holding of an elderly person. This is the person who actually wrote this letter that we are reading today from Henoko. 70 years ago, during the Battle of Okinawa, naval bombardment was fierce. Shrapnel and bullets of machine guns came flying. There was nowhere for us to run. The Japanese soldiers took over the shelters we had evacuated, and we had no way to keep alive. We just walked without even knowing where we were going. My brother was 10 years old, and my mother was blind, and we were hungry and thirsty, and my brother begged for a drink of water. So in the middle of the night, I found a puddle, made a cup out of a straw leaf, and went back and forth to get him and my mother a drink. The next morning, I looked at the puddle and saw dead bodies floating. I couldn't tell my brother and my mother about it until the day they died. I also saw headless bodies and dead bodies of a child whose stomach had been cut open by the shell fragment. All of the internal organs were exposed. One day the shelter was set on fire by a flamethrower. I couldn't breathe. It was painful. I jumped out and was surrounded by American soldiers, and they took their guns in their hands and put them down and put them in their hand again. It was very scary. I thought I would have rather died in the fire than be killed by the American soldiers. Even after 77 years, I still remember these scenes. I will never forget them. One of the Japanese soldiers who came into the shelter told a young mother, "Don't let your baby cry. American soldiers will come if your baby cries." Even though he said so, babies will cry. Then the Japanese soldier shoved the cloth into the baby's mouth. The Japanese military was not here to help Okinawa. The military doesn't protect the residents. Do you want to read? I have lived my life drinking muddy water of dead people's blood. I feel like being told, "You drank the muddy water of my blood and lived, so you must never allow war to happen again. It's your job to stop it." That is why I continue to sit in front of Camp Schwab gate, even if I am pulled away by riot police or injured.
I wish I could protest and stop even one of the construction vehicles, but dozens of them go into the base. I'm in so much pain that my heart is ripped out of my chest. The number of people gathering in front of the gate is getting smaller and smaller. After more than 20 years of protests, the number of people who survived the war is also decreased by one by one. The only way to prevent a bloodbath like the one 77 years ago is for each and every one of the residents of Okinawa to stand up and stop the construction of the new base. We believe that once we return to the mainland, the bases would be gone. We expected that there would be no more bases if we joined Japan, but the war is still not over in Okinawa. U.S. military aircraft fly in the sky and on the ground. Unexploded ordnance is being disposed of almost every day. War is not something that comes with warning. The current Japanese politicians, including the Prime Minister, do not know the horrors of war because they have not experienced war. They are trying to build a base saying that China is going to attack us. Somehow they want to start a war. I would like to say to the politicians, if you want to go to war so badly, drink the bloody mud before you do it. Can we throw away our own lives by being misled by politicians who do not know anything about war? I would like young people to think about that. Okinawa is still a battlefield and the war is not over. Not only is it not over, but we can hear the footsteps of the next war, as symbolized by the construction of a new base here in Hanoko. How will Okinawa change? I believe that I cannot die before I see it through. And that is the word of an elderly Okinawa grandmother.
Thank you so much, Granny. Okay, so now we're going to welcome Sonny Ochiai and Marco. They're gonna play music and sing a song. The song is called Flowers, and this beautiful song is made by a very popular Okinawa musician, Shokichi Kina, using flowers as a symbol for people and rivers as a symbol for life. The song touches everyone's heart and became very popular throughout Japan. The music say, cry, laugh, and let's make flower blooms someday. It really represents the Okinawan heart.
げたい泣きなさい笑いなさい花落ちて咲かそうよ花を咲かそうよ泣きなさい笑いなさいいつの日かいつの日か花を咲かそうよThank you very much, Mako-san and Sonny-san.
So Raising Grannies will sing some songs for us. Wow!
Sideways like this. Stretch it out. Stretch it out.
Much better to come here in the sister area.
It's easier for Mercy. Yeah. Make it easier for Mercy. Yeah. Yeah.
Just for the mic. Here we go.
Yeah,
Gently.
Mike is there.
Gently. No, I know. Gently. Gently. How's that? Is that good?
Make it easy for Mercy.
I think that's good.
This one goes where? Hold on. Thanks a lot, Gary. And then we'll see where.
Yeah, you need a mic.
Mercy takes the mic.
Stay there. I need you outside. Here.
There is nothing like a name. There is nothing like a name. We have military bases at home and all around. In Old Peru and Timbuktu, wherever there is ground. In over 80 countries, and in every case, what do they give us? Another base. Pause. There is nothing like a base. Nothing in this world. And we have them every place. We will soon have them up in space. In over 80 countries, on every continent. On the land we occupy, their people don't consent. In Turkey and the Philippines and Okinawa too. Whatever we do there, we must undo. There's nothing like a base. Nothing in this world. And we have them every place. We will soon have them up in space. 797 foreign bases plus. We dominate these countries. They fear and don't want us. Let the U.S. people know our bases we must yield. We only want our bases on a baseball field. There is nothing like a base. Nothing in this world. And we have them every place. We will soon have them up in space.
Bravo!
We sing Okinawa people. We sing Okinawa people. Okinawa people. Yes. Okinawa people are strong. Written by Alice Sutter. Very strong. Okinawa people suffered many years of war. They stand so strong, they won't take no more. People are rising for justice. Okinawa people, you're strong. Okinawa people protest day and night to make the government do what's right. People are rising for justice. Okinawa people, you're strong. Okinawa people protest in their canoe. We gotta learn to be just like you. People are rising for justice. Okinawa people, you're strong. Base building brings coral reef destruction. Okinawa people block construction. People are rising for justice. Okinawa people, you're strong. Okinawa people, you're strong. Okinawa people, you're strong. People are rising for justice. Okinawa people, you're strong. Thank you, Raging Grannies.
We're going to come down to the bell now, Trudy.
Thank you, Raising Grannies.
Serve with the bell.
Your constant support for us. Now,
Theater. Yeah. All right.
something is going to happen by the Rising Together Guerrilla Theater people. What would they do? Rising Together. Rising Together Guerrilla Theater.
These 800 bases are essential for the American military's endless wars.
These 800 bases are essential for America's endless wars.
These 800 American military bases are responsible for environmental degradation and climate chaos everywhere.
These 800 military bases are responsible
for environmental degradation and climate crisis everywhere. Military personnel at these 800 bases are not subject to local law. Military bases. These 800 are not subject to local law. Are 800 military bases enough? The U.S. plans a new base at the pristine sea of Hinoko's Ura Bay in Okinawa, threatening an endangered mammal, the dugong. Do we need more military bases?
Are 800 military bases enough? The U.S. plans a new base at the pristine sea of Hinoko's Ura Bay in Okinawa, threatening an endangered mammal, the dugong. Do we need more military bases? Do we need 800 military bases?
Thank you, Rising Together Guerrilla Theater Group people. I want to add a little bit explanation of the current situation of the reclamation. The Japanese government started the first step of reclamation work 5 years ago today. Then they started throwing the earth and gravel in December 2018 at the Hinoko site, where the sea is shallow and easier to work. The amount of earth and sand that has been thrown in so far is only about 9% of the amount needed for the entire construction project. In addition, they found the mayonnaise-like very soft sea ground at the Ora Bay site of the planned reclamation area. Many specialists esteem the improvement of the seafloor as technically unfeasible. The construction period doubled from the original plan and the budget skyrocketed. The Japanese government started the first step of government and Okinawa Defense Bureau estimate 930 billion yen, which is roughly $9.3 billion, to be completed in 12 years, while Okinawa prefectures estimate 2.55 trillion yen. That means 25 billion dollars. To be, if it's completed in 13 years. It's an absurd project that destroys the environment and people's peaceful lives. Now we have messages from Tarak, Kauf, and Kim mayors. Both have visited Henoko as members of Veterans for Peace to show their solidarity. Today they are in Dublin, Ireland. Anthony Donovan tells you why they are there today, and then read their messages.
Hello. First, I want to thank the people for listening to us and stopping their drilling. That was great.
Thank you.
Second of all, I want to thank the New York Public Library. Our public library system has enabled us to gather information and have free information to everybody in the world about Okinawa and every other are concerned. So God bless this place, these great lions. And I want to, these beautiful lions. And I want to thank Veterans for Peace. Veterans for Peace, War Resisters League, they're here, Catholic Worker, Grannies Brigade, and all the Okinawans. I just want to thank you very much for this solidarity. So I'm here, been asked to read a letter from Tarak, who is over in Ireland with Ken. Jim will read Ken Mayers and Tarak Kauf, two veterans who have been to Okinawa, I think 4 times, in solidarity with the people there, and they are in Ireland, as was mentioned, because they tried to go to Shannon Airport, where our troops, Ireland is a neutral country, and their constitution says they're a neutral country, but our military uses Shannon Airport to transport nuclear weapons and to transport and to bring prisoners, not even prisoners, just these secret ops prisoners to various bases. We carry munitions all through Ireland, so they went there to Ireland to say, Ireland, please, you're violating your own constitution by allowing the U.S. to use your soil. So please stand up and do something about it. Just like here in New York City, we've said no nuclear weapons in the New York City area, yet we have aircraft, we have ships that come into our harbor, and we know they have nuclear capacity. So anyway, this is a letter from our dear friend Tarak, who was with us just a week ago in solidarity here in New York City on tax day, where many of us were, and he is now facing court in Ireland. God bless you, Tarak and Ken. So this is Tarak's message that he sent for us to read today. I want to express my love and my solidarity and respect for the people of Okinawa. This is Ken. Thank you.
This is Tarak.
That is Tarak and Ken. Now I can't read. Okay, you got it? Okay, I have been to Okinawa 4 times to stand with the people in their struggle to prevent the U.S. bases from continuing to desecrate their sacred land. Okinawa has been made into a sacrificial item, first by the Japanese during World War II, and now for the United States, which has bases all over Okinawa, polluting the land and for making the Okinawan people and the island a target for the U.S. aggression against China. China is only 300 miles away from Okinawa, and I am sure if there's any type of hostilities begin, Okinawa will be no more because the Chinese will retaliate. So what the United States is doing is making this island, this beautiful island, a target. Besides despoiling the island in every way, the United States military needs to leave this island. This is an island where the people believe in peace, and they want the beauty of their island returned to them. Veterans for Peace stands in solidarity with the struggle of the Okinawan people, which inspires people all over the world. It has been a day-to-day struggle. For the longest time, Okinawan people have not given up and will never give up. And this is something I deeply respect. So all gratitude and all respect to Okinawa and to the people of this beautiful island. Tarak Kauf. And now I hand the mic to Jim of the War Resisters League, who's going to read Ken's.
I was commissioned in the Marine Corps as a second lieutenant in 1958. And in the spring of 1960, I was based at Camp Schwab in Inoko, Okinawa, which I thought was just a beautiful place. And I really fell in love. I thought I was very, very lucky to be there. The unit I was in that spring participated in a joint operation training with the Chinese Nationals Marine Corps on the southern tip of Taiwan. And while we were ashore, when we ate our sea rations at night, as soon as we were finished, we were surrounded by little Taiwan kids begging for our sea ration cans so they could patch their tin roofs. This was the beginning of my change, which took me from being a Marine Corps officer being over the next 8 years. I was astonished that we could spend so much money on this training exercise when our allies in Taiwan lived in such extreme poverty. I was surprised a year later when I was stationed in North Carolina that I didn't have to go very far from Camp Lejeune to also find the same kind of poverty. I was getting more and more disillusioned about the role of the American military. But what really made my final decision inevitable was when I was transferred to a national security agency for field activity, again on Okinawa, where we were monitoring the North Vietnamese communications at the time of the Tonkin Gulf incident. And when Lyndon Johnson used that incident in the Bay of Tonkin to drag America into war, I knew I would have to resign my commission and change my career. I've made a couple of trips back to Okinawa. I think 3 so far to stand with the protesters in Inoko, trying to stop the expansion of Camp Schwab and the building of the airfield there. I want to add one thing, and that is that the Okinawans have the right idea. They are amazingly wise and strong, and it's the only place I know where there's a memorial honor that honors the dead of all sides, whether they were Japanese or American, Okinawan, Korean, whether they were military or civilian. All of the dead that died in that horrendous battle on Okinawa are honored at the Peace Park, the cornerstone of peace. So thank you, Okinawa. And those are the words of Ken Mayers.
Ken Mayers, yes. Thank you, So this is the photo of Ken and Fumiko. They got together in front of Camp Schwab rocket site. Before doing the moment of silence, I will add a little bit more. It's written in the flyer over there. The Henoko project is related to relocating the U.S. Marine Corps Air Station of Futenma, the most dangerous airfield in the world. In 1995, people's frustration against the daily violation of their civil rights exploded when 3 U.S. servicemen gang raped a 12-year-old girl. The U.S. and Japanese governments announced closing the Futenma station to appease their anger. The U.S. demanded a replacement facility. The Japanese government selected Henoko, quite close to Futenma, as a relocation site. As the construction is delayed at Henoko, Futenma stays in a crowded residential area which threatens their daily lives. So we have a moment of silence, thinking of the lives lost and sufferings of the people because of the war in Okinawa and everywhere, in the past and now, in pledging the peace. I will ring the bell.
So now we're going to have our music, Bashofu. Played by the Sanshin Okinawan banjo by Sonny Ochiai and singing by Ochiai Hideko and Mako Kawamoto and Hideko Otake and Akiko Nishijima. I'm sorry, I forgot. And then two great musicians right here. Sorry, I forgot. by Anthony Donovan and Bud Courtney. They've been playing together for peace for almost 12 years. This song is made by Tsuneo Fukuhara and Yasukazu Yoshikawa in 1965, and this song became very popular not only in Okinawa but throughout Japan. And this song expresses the strong love and the pride of Okinawa towards their own island. not healthy, filthy, rotten bathroom. No, filthy, rotten system. It's the band of Catholic work.
So before we do the song that Anthony thinks we're going to do, this is a song I put together. Everyone knows it, so sing it with me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Trudy and Anthony. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to my party.
Show your face.
Sunday, Gary's 70th. He is 84. He's on to East New York after Union Square's May Day event. Edith, we're going to celebrate your birthday too if you know. Even if you don't.
As I walk through this wicked world, searching for light in the darkness of insanity, I ask myself, is all hope lost? Is there only pain and hatred and misery? And each time I feel like this inside, there's only one thing I wanna know. What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding?
Whoa!
I said, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? As I walk through these troubled times, I feel a bit so, but disheartened sometimes. And we're strong, and we can be trusted. Where is the harmony, sweet harmony? And each time I feel like this inside, there's only one thing I wanna know.
What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Oh, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding?
Feel like this inside, there's only one thing I need to know. What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Mr. Coltrane, play with us! I said, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Whoa! I said, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Anthony. Thank you, Bad Courtney and Anthony Donovan. Thank you very much.
Cross the right river.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we are wrapping up, but there's some announcement for the future. You know, people ask what can we do, very kindly asking what can we do for Okinawa. Well, the one thing is just try to understand what's going on, to know and not forget. Just remember the people are fighting over there and support any chance if you have. And our next event we are planning is around June 23rd. It's the Okinawa Memorial Day. As we mentioned before, on the day, people of Okinawa get together to remember all the people who died during the war, including American soldiers, and pledge for peace. And this year, the people in Japan and Okinawa and here too have the plan to read called all the names on the cornerstone of peace. It is, I had 24,000 names on the, you know, the like a Vietnam wall kind of thing. So we are planning to read. Maybe it may take 10 days or so, but we are planning to do it. So I'll give you further information later, but we need your help and need your voice to, you know, to get the voice together and work for peace. And Azu had some announcement.
Only one.
Okay.
I saved the others for Bud.
This evening, if folks would join us at 6 p.m., we're going to celebrate the final release of Steve Donziger, the great environmental attorney who won the multi-billion-dollar judgment against Chevron in support of the Orinoco people of the Amazon in Ecuador. So this evening, 6 to 8 p.m., there'll be a block party at 104th and Broadway, West 104th and Broadway, from 6 to 8 p.m. this evening in support of Steve Donziger's final release from house arrest. Those Chevron bastards.
Thank you, Gil. Any other announcement? No, right now. Okay.
No, I could just make next year on this date will be Anthony's birthday.
Oh, and
You
Hideko,
will make a plan, huh?
Hideko announced the Yemen vision. Yo.
Okay. How many years? What? How many years? 5 years?
7.
7 years? Okay, 5 years, but he says no, so we are here. Okay. But anyway, so, you know, me, and the other people again, you know, standing for 5 years on Saturday morning for Yemen Brazil. It's a very, very quite unknown war here, but it's one of the world's biggest disaster right now. So we just stand there every Saturday from noon, no sorry, from 11 to noon, and to remember their sufferings and, you know, that in general the suffering of any people in the world because of the war. Okay, thank you so much everyone. We do appreciate so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.